rewriting the script that has been passed along for thousands of years. And those old patterns, those old belief systems that were quite myopic don't work anymore.
Changing or evolving at this time?
There's no victims here, only volunteers. We've all chosen to incarnate. We've all chosen to grow because life is happening through us and for us, not to us.
And you couldn't yet see it in your vision because it hadn't manifested.
Of course, they've always been here. They're beneficial. But could you imagine that it's your neighbor or that you are one?
Perceptions on that vision that many people are starting to tap into.
Fear and faith ask the same thing of you, to believe in something that's unseen. So you're making it up anyway. Why not make it up just as you like it?
Sheila Gillette, welcome back on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
Well, I'm very excited and enthusiastic about the changes I see in people that are happening now with all the chaos in the world. People are tired. They want good news. They want tools to feel better. They're exhausted with what's been happening, and now I'm seeing a shift, particularly in this mid-year, where people are getting enthusiastic about being together again and really interacting together and wanting to expand more and learn more about themselves and releasing the judgments that have been going on in the divisiveness. And people want to have fun. They want to have joy again in their lives. And I'm witnessing that, which is quite pleasing to me because, as THEO would say, out of the chaos will come order. And we are the master creators. So let's create the world we want, right? And so I see that's what people are wanting, and they're willing to make the changes internally for that to be experienced externally. And I'm very optimistic about us humans and our progress and our changes that are happening. And also, this is a time of greater expansion, and people really are tapping into their own gifts. Their own intuitive gifts. They're recognizing they're more than their physical body. The aperture of their perceptivity is expanding. And we see that in the work that we do with THEO. THEO, as the teacher that they are for the expansion of consciousness, is doing just that with the people we mentor.
Was fascinating. I was just reflecting on this morning. This is our first conversation in 2.5 years, and how much life has happened in the world and also in ourselves has happened in 2.5 years. It feels like time is operating so distinctly. And THEO, the 12 archangels that trans voice through you, and you've been working with them for over 5 decades, they have talked about this dimensional shift that we're going through as a humanity. And I just wanted to set the stage and set the scene to understand why we're starting to perceive reality differently. Like the last 2 years for me have felt like 10. So much life has happened inside them.
Well, what we're doing is we're rewriting the script that has been passed along for thousands of years. In the fifth dimension that we're now living in, it is a different vibrational frequency. And those old patterns, those old belief systems that were quite myopic don't work anymore. And what we're doing on the inner is recognizing where they've come from and how to change them. Because events and situations, circumstances don't change. That's our history. That's our life experience. but our perception of them can change. We can look for the gifts and blessings of any challenge that we've had. Challenge is just the curriculum of life. We're all going to have some challenges. And they do change. They get easier as we change on the inner and not resist them, but embrace them as the opportunities of growth that they are. And as Theo says, there's no victims here, only volunteers. We've all chosen to incarnate. We've all chosen to grow. So if we look at the opportunities we're presented as growth opportunities, as opportunities themselves of what can I get out of this? Because life is happening through us and for us, not to us. So recognizing we are the creators in how we speak and how we think, then we can change our minds. We can change our vocabulary. We can change how we talk about ourselves and others. So that's what I see happening, that Theo is teaching us how to make those changes inside. And as we change, as we have chosen to be here, to be the change agents of this time, that the generations beyond us will not act out those generational patterns that have been passed along for all these thousands of years, and all the old belief systems of not being enough, not being worthy, not being who we are meant to be.
Mm. I was also, again, reflecting on when you step into this energy field of Theo, there is a palpable and felt sense. And I know that you've talked about your journey of throughout the years, you've become more blended with this archangelic presence that's been working with you. I wanted to understand from your perspective what it's been like to slowly merge with that energy and what it's done in your life as well, and what people can expect when they're invited into that energy field. I know we're going to bring in Theo later in the conversation. So from your eyes, what has that process been?
So that process has been an ongoing evolution of my growth that I was talking about. I've been the first student of Theo's in the soul integrative process that they brought forward. So I've had those tools to work with for 5 decades that they're teaching others now. And so how that's changed in me, I do look at my challenges not as being a victim of them, but what can I learn from this? What's my greater learning? Why is this here for me to grow from? What's in this that I can squeeze out and have to make me a better person, to make me a better all-round human? And when I made that decision years ago, when I was going through a particularly challenging time, I was saying to Theo, why do I have to do this? And they said, you're going to learn compassion. And I thought, oh, okay, because everybody has something they're challenged with. So I thought, well, if this is here for me to grow from, I'm going to embrace it, not resist it. And that's the human way. We don't want to feel bad. You know, we try to avoid those uncomfortable feelings. So when I made that decision, when Theo said, it's here to grow you, basically, I said, okay, I'm going to get every minute of growth I can out of this situation. And you know what happened? It got easier because I gave up resistance. I had a mindset and a vision of I'm going to get something really good from this instead of this is going to harm me in some way. And when I made that flip, the energy, I flowed with the energy rather than the resisting of it. And I got a tremendous amount of energy. And what was interesting to me, the people that I saw that were pushing me became not adversarial, but helpers. And we're going to help you solve this. rather than no, we can't, there's nothing can be done. You know how that goes. Well, that was my own resistance. That was my own belief that it had to be hard.
Mhm.
And so, as you ask about the changes in me, I realized it doesn't have to be hard if we have a different perception.
Yeah.
And that's what Theo teaches any students that come to listen to them or to do our mentoring programs. What they do, you know, it's that old saying that Jesus said, you can give a man a fish for a day, or you can teach him to fish and feed him for a life. And that's the way Theo teaches. They teach us how to live for our life in a different mindset and really recognizing the powerful beings that we are. They call us magnificent souls having a human experience.
Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode. And I also believe that in order to let go of that resistance and step into more compassion, we really have to understand our soul. And you and Theo have been teaching for years around this notion of the soul note, which really fascinates me. Obviously, I utilize my voice for a living at this point. And I wanted to explore further with you around when you first encountered that notion of the soul note and what it did to make you understand who you truly are and how that led to stepping into more compassion and less resistance.
Well, the soul note is the vibrational frequency of our soul, and it starts right here. And your voice changes when you recognize that. It deepens. There's a resonance that I feel in my heart rather than talking up here, like a lot of people do, or very nasally. My voice kind of, I felt it even drop. I feel the vibration as I speak right here. I think that in and of itself. But our soul note is our soul's direction as well. And it's just our vibrational frequency. And how Theo talks with us, we ask them, because Marcus and I did a radio show, terrestrial radio show, not an internet one, in 2001. And it carried out into the world, and people would call in. And we had a lot of truck drivers, long haul truck drivers call in. And these were people we didn't know. And our show was on Sunday mornings. And we had this woman call, and she asked Theo, she wanted to know something about her health. And Theo said to her, "We see that you're visually impaired." And then they went on to talk about some back issues. That wasn't the issue, but they connected to her. Monday morning, the phone rings in our office, and it's the woman. I mean, she didn't give her name. And she said, "I don't know who you people are, but my friend told me I should call the radio show." And she said, "I'm the woman that Theo said you're visually impaired." She said, "I'm blind." So Marcus came to me and he said, "How'd Theo know that?" I don't know. So the next Sunday during the radio show, Marcus asked Theo about the woman that had called and how did you know she was blind? And Theo first then told us about the soul note. That the vibration of our voice holds that soul note. And they use that as a bridge. They used that as a bridge to connect to her when she spoke. Mm-hmm. And we thought that was so fascinating. And that's the first time that the soul note came up, that vibrational frequency that is a constant, that's eternal, that is uniquely ours.
Wow. What a powerful story. And that also happens to me where I can just be listening to someone's voice and I sense there's a familiarity in there. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's a resonance. And if the universe, as Nikola Tesla said, it's made of vibration and energy, then our souls must be able to express through sound as well. And so you spoke about it starting in the heart. And I know that Theo calls this the fifth chamber or the chamber, something around the chamber.
Or
what
the
have you
seat
learned
of the
about
soul,
that?
where the soul lives, yeah.
What else have you learned about that center that lies in our body? And maybe it's metaphysical properties as well.
Well, it can be metaphysical. You know, you see the picture of the universal man with his arms out. Well, if you think about that, it's where it crosses heaven meets earth. So it's that connection as well.
Yeah. One thing that has happened and accelerated quite a lot since we last spoke is this acceleration and boom of artificial intelligence. I wanted to ask you what you believe are some of the spiritual qualities of the human that can't be simulated by a technology, by an AI. What are the things that we're preserving about our humanity that can't be transferred into a machine?
Our soul. It has no soul. And actually, AI is just as good as what it's given. Yes, the algorithms are great, and but it takes all its information from all of us. All our creative thoughts, all our music, all whatever it is, it's categorizing and taking everything that's already been made. Our souls are creative and can go beyond those algorithms of creation. And, you know, AI is a tool. And I think it'll be proven just like the internet and just like home computers, just like our telephones we carry around, a computer in our pocket always. You know, when I started doing this work, we didn't have those things. And Theo said it would be coming because they said, we will have a global audience, which we do, you know, and it's because of the internet. Back then, I couldn't see how. How is that going to happen? How is it going to touch the world? Well, here we are today. You and I, you're in Colombia, I'm in the United States in Arizona. And here we are, like sitting across the room from each other, having a conversation and seeing each other. And I'm always amazed. Every class we do on Zoom, everything that we do like this through the internet, I'm just in awe. It's miraculous. There's a book out now called We Are as Gods, which has any of these innovations, had they been back in, 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago, it would have been godlike. The type of communications that we have now, and having us becoming more connected to our own intuitive gifts, our own awarenesses, because we have this great body that's a receiver. We're sentient beings, and we have all of these perceptivity antennae in our body. We can smell, taste, hear, see, feel the energy, the vibration of others, as you were speaking, even in the voice. So people are becoming more aware. The third dimension being more just physical and more myopic. There were people then, and even people now, which is a little astounding, that still believe the earth is flat. It's this awareness. It's a time of awareness now in the fifth dimension that goes beyond anything we've ever experienced. And so, of course, the innovations such as AI are a part of that. We're going to have more. It's just how we work with it that's important, right? Because they're tools. We carry our little computer around with us. We look at it with our calendars on it. Everything's there. It's like a second brain to some degree. And we get annoyed if it's not working. How long have we had that? When was the first cell phone? I mean, we take for granted all these things, like our computers, everything we're using. And we don't realize how this is a part of the growth that we're having now to bring the world together, to be more collaborative. We can see a catastrophe that's happening in the world in an instant. All we have to turn on is the internet. We can learn about the world where we had to go there in the past. Now we can see it. We can see the universe. So to me, I'm very optimistic in this growth. And I think AI is just a tool and to be proven to be a really good one. And will it be abused by some people? Yeah, but people tire of that. I mean, people are getting tired of social media. They want connection with each other. We're herd animals and we desire connection. And so I have faith in us that even these tools come, we'll use them in the best possible ways. Will some not? Sure. It's already happened. But if we're mindful and aware, we can discern. We have to have that discerning eye, that discerning ear of what we're listening to. We have a truth barometer in us. We all do. We all know when somebody speaks truth to us, and we all know when we speak truth. I get goosebumps. I call them God bumps. But we all have something visceral that happens to our body. I just suggest you start asking, is that true? Some critical thinking. I know that you now have your degree, and when we spoke, you were still in school, so that's a big step for you. But you've expanded your awareness. You're a smart man, but you have more awareness now. You know more things. You're open to more things because you learned educationally you're capable of more. We all have. When we went to elementary school and we started learning numbers, we learned how to count, right? And then we learned how to add. We knew that 5 and 5 made 10. And then we learned multiplication, and boy, were we powerful then. So every step along the way, we start at the beginning. But if we apply ourselves and take it in, we just get better. We get more. And that's what I think this time is allowing for. But it's quickened. To your point, it's 2.5 years we spoke last. Look what's happened since we spoke. I mean, and daily we're being invited to learn. And science is the same way. Theo says in this time of this new world we're birthing, the sciences and the arts will be the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And science is an art. So let's say the arts for sure. But it's all vibrational frequency too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just as we are.
Mm. And before we welcome in Theo, I wanted to go back to that moment where they were telling you that this time would be coming where you would be able to speak globally and connect with people across the world. And you couldn't yet see it in your vision because it hadn't manifested through the tools and technology. What is something that Theo has told you about is coming that you still can't fully picture in your mind yet?
You know, fortunately for me, I can feel into it now because I've worked with them for so long that when they say something, I listen. But I learned also that many of the things they told me were for the future. And so now we're living into those futures. And they said this chaos will end and we'll have order, but a new order of things. We'll have an economic structure that's global. We're already recognizing that that is true. We will have political structures changing in the world globally, and we're already witnessing that starting to happen throughout the world. And they said that would be by the people, the demands of the people, and that we would be more collaborative. They say we see no barriers between you. They also said the pandemic showed us that. The pandemic didn't care where you lived in the world. They wanted to host the human body, that virus did. And so it passed through the world very quickly. And, you know, there was no border. You know, there was no border between Spain and France or any other country, really. The only thing that separates the countries are water. And so they said, you'll see the oneness matters not what color skin you have or language you speak, you're one. And that's all vibration and frequency. And so they said that will be coming together, as we're witnessing with our technology as well. And our education, our knowledge is being spread this way. Unfortunately, there's some things being spread that are mistruths that are not true. That's why we have to have critical thinking on the inner. Ask our higher power, is that true? I mean, you know, if we start doing that and just accepting outside opinions, questioning outside opinions, I think we'll be better for it individually and collectively.
Mm. And for someone out there that has never seen you bring through THEO, doesn't really know what we're talking about when we refer to them, as we're going into this process of transitioning and going into trance with you and asking a few questions of THEO, could you please tell us a little bit more about your process and what you're doing?
Well, THEO is a name that I was given when they first started speaking through me. And they're collectively known by THEO, but there are 12 archangels that are teaching us. And they're here for this evolution of consciousness that's happening in and through us now. And how this happens to me is they come to the left side of right side of my body. They take over my vocal cords, then they take over my entire body. And they speak directly through me. The voice is a bit different. It's a bit deeper. It's accented a bit. And like I said, I've been doing this for over 5 decades, so it's very comfortable for me to allow that to happen. So I close my eyes, I invite them in, and then they'll begin to speak.
Well, we're here for it. So here
All
holding
right.
the space for you, and we'll see you when you return.
Okay. All right. Here we go. It is the beginning, is it not?
It is.
We are appreciative of the opportunity to serve, you may ask.
Thank you so much, Theo. I wanted to begin by asking, what happens when humanity's external and outward progress begins to move faster than our spiritual and emotional maturity? Is that something that you're witnessing in humanity right now?
It is not. It is not moving faster than your spirituality. What we would say, it is a part of that further expansion that is occurring. For the innovations that you're witnessing in this time of shift of vibrational frequency into the fifth dimensional reality of which you're all living in now is part of that evolution, including the innovations. For the innovations are given to those who invent them. Yes. Some say they're downloaded, or their ideas, their visions, their perceptions that are given, but they are the artisans to bring them forth, just as you are in your life bringing forth what the soul has desired to experience and to expand from. So it's in this time of grand expansion that is necessary, because the consciousness is shifted. You are all connected to the multidimensional verse, if you would, your multidimensional soul, and have access to all that you've been, all that you will be, and all that you are now, if you allow that to surface from the inner to the outer.
Speaking on the multidimensionality, I would love to explore a little bit deeper as to when we have this incarnation, why initially we've, in a way, blocked all other memories of other existences and lifetimes, and why are these beginning to surface now for many people?
Because of the much more refined vibrational frequencies. The third dimension, even the fourth, which was the beginning of this further expansion, had a density to it. And the mindset was not capable of the acceptance that it is now. There was much fear and much belief of limitation that now is expanded in this time. So what you are doing in the human experience is relinquishing old patterns, old beliefs that have been passed along for thousands of years, and creating a new way of being human, for a lack of better words. Accepting that you're more than your physical body, that the earth is one place of experience, but there are billions that a soul can choose from. That you are masterful creators. You are creators. You've chosen this physical existence to be on this earth planet. It too is magnificent and beautiful. But you have these earth suits, bodies, if you would, human bodies that are informants to your soul of its experiences, feelings, sensory perceptivities are given through the body as the receiver that it is of the information externally. So that has become more refined and the human perception more accepted.
A question that seems to come through from a lot of people in these times where we are confronting wars and battlegrounds and disagreements between government bodies throughout the world, many people want to know why the souls that are involved in these places where there is war and violence and conflict, why has that soul in a way chosen to be there? And a lot of people may say, is it fair that they were to be involved in that, even if they didn't do anything like children, for example? And this is a question that comes up a lot in my field as well.
Of course. It's hard to perceive a child because you're thinking the soul is that young, and it is not. So the perception that a child could not choose, you're thinking in terms of your human experience, not of a soul's experience. So a soul choosing to be in an environment as a leader, a way shower of a new way, it may not be the way you would choose, but it is a way of bringing forth a desire in others to change. This chaos is necessary for change. It always has been. It's like the atom needs the chaos within it to break through to another version of itself. Yes? That is what is happening. Out of this chaos will come order. But all of the political changes are coming because of this chaos. People saying no more and demanding change. Birthing a new world. It's a bit messy. Birth is messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so to think in terms of judging those who are experiences lesser than is incorrect. They're way showers of a new way. They are there to create the chaos of mind that this cannot continue. This is not acceptable. Yes? And the individuals that think that act now upon it, do they not? They speak out. And this was necessary to bring change. It actually began 50 years ago. And the 2012 was a culmination of the fifth dimension fully in place. A new way of being, a new vector of time. The old ways do not work anymore, and they're dissolving, actually. There will be a new global governmental entity that incorporates all countries, much like your United Nations, only more powerful and collaborative. Not the need of overcoming others, but seeing how collaboration is better for the entire species on Earth. Yes? But there had to be the breakthrough, if you would, to a new order of things. So that is bringing forth the desire of the people. If you think 8 billion cannot make change, they can. The change is internally, firstly. And what that is an integrated process and release of beliefs about yourselves of not enough, not lovable, not worthy. And as that changes, it's not arrogant. It gives a soul-centeredness, a confidence in each and every one of you to speak your truth, to be your truth authentically.
Mm.
and gathering together of those of like mind for the highest good, or the greater good, if you would.
Mm. When you speak of collaboration, I would also love to expand that out into galactic collaboration, because we're also understanding that we're not alone in this universe, and also many truths that have been hidden around our galactic alliances or contact that we've already had on this planet are starting to resurface, especially a lot this year. And I'd love to understand how you vision humanity returning back to that galactic collaboration with species that come from other galaxies and planets and star systems.
Of course, they've always been here. And they are not malevolent. They're beneficial. Many of the things that you have on this planet have been created by them. You've wondered about that, yes?
Mm.
But could you imagine that it's your neighbor? Or that you are one? For understand this, the earth is only one choice of incarnation. Your souls are eternal, and you can choose billions of choices to incarnate. It's beyond comprehension. But if you look at the pictures of your universe that you have now because of space exploration, you can see the vastness of possibility, can you not? That's why we're saying the myopic viewpoint, the very small contained viewpoint of the third dimension, won't work anymore. There's too much expansion that is happening in and through all of you now. And you've come here for it. So is it a time of revelation? Of course it is. Of course it is. And what's being revealed? You're witnessing it, yes? The world is round. Remember, we spoke of those who believe the world is flat. There's still some who believe that. One's mind would say, how possibly could that be true? But it is for some, because of a closed mindset. But your mindsets are ever expanding. You have the capacity to recognize these things and be the creators that you are. Each and every one of you have come here to be significant, whatever that means to you. Whatever you're doing, you have a contribution to make. Let's say it's like a painting, an exquisite painting, and each brushstroke is important to the beauty of the greater whole of the vision. That's each and every one of you that is now being a participant in this change, a way shower as well by being here now. And so, is there going to be revelations of the beings that have always been around? Yes, of course. Could they have done it before? They did. But because of the myopic view that many had, it wasn't time. There was too much fear. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
But moving out of fear, that is the time you're living in now. Fear and faith ask the same thing of you, to believe in something that's unseen.
Wow. That gave me God bumps.
Yes. So you're making it up anyway. Why not make it up just as you like it?
Yeah. I'm really curious to know what an archangel learns the most about humanity, from humanity? When you perceive us, what do you learn about us that then helps you in your own growth and evolutionary process as an
We're
archangel?
very good observers of the human condition. That's why we're here to teach a different mindset. We learn from you by your physicality. We do not have bodies. So, what the exquisite experience of being in a human body is. Taste, for an example, smell, hearing music as you hear it, the physical sensations that you feel, a hug and to hug and be hugged, yes? That tactile experience that you all have is quite exquisite.
Mm. Are there new senses that humanity is beginning to remember or relearn?
Remember is a good word. Remembering who you are, remembering that you're more than the physical body. So remember is a good word now. For in that remembering, there is the usage of your sensory perceptivity, your intuitive gifts, if you would. It starts at birth. An infant knows immediately if it's unsafe by the feeling in the physical body. Yes? So you begin addressing that immediately. And you all know that sensation. If you're in a place or on a street where you're uncomfortable and feel unsafe, do you not? You know how to protect yourself. And you're also aware that you're herd animals and you're more protected together than you are separately. So what do? You seek out another. Yes? Greater in numbers. Yes? So it's a natural process of recognizing what the body is speaking to you.
Is the way that we approach romantic relationships and also relationships with others changing or evolving at this time?
It is. Because you're more internal than external, looking for something to fulfill you outside you. What is necessary is finding that state of unconditional love of self and knowing you're worthy of the love that you seek. For most have repetitive patterns of not that, out of the beliefs of not being worthy. But the integrative process that we brought forward 5 decades ago allows for tools to be used on the inner to recognize and love the self. When you love yourself enough, everything changes. And then you draw to you that of its likeness.
If time is non-linear, is there a possible way to receive information from a future version of us that has already gone through many challenges, has acquired wisdom, has grown into a version that could give us back advice and wisdom and guidance?
Yes. You can move into your future self, just like you have visions of your future, of what you would like to create. Yes, and then you live into it, or you live from that vision. Either way works, yes, whatever one can accept. But you can step into the next moment, the next year, if you allow yourself to believe in that possibility.
Where do these visions come from?
You, the soul, the field of possibility and probability. Understand that there are things being created now or there in the field of possibility that beings are grasping all the time. The innovators, the musicians, the artisans, the scientists. Yes?
If we were to make contact with a future version of humanity after all this chaos has ended and we've entered an age of order, what do you believe they would come back to tell us at this time?
To love yourselves. Because that will be the change in the world. It seems redundant over the thousands of years, doesn't it? The message would remain very simplistic and the same. That is because it's truth. And truth is constant.
Truth is constant. There are many people on the world right now, especially people in places of influence and power. And I'm talking people that have corporations in this world. They're seeing visions of humanity having and co-living with robotics and robots in their own household. And I did want to bring that vision to the surface to see if you would have any messages or perceptions on that vision that many people are starting to tap into.
It's the same vision that others had about washing machines that wash your clothes. That was an impossibility of thought for many of the time. Yes, but someone created it, didn't they? And now it's not uncommon, it's most common, a placement in every home. Yes?
Yeah.
Even the most rural of homes. Yes? So it's not unlike that. Will it happen? Of course it will. The internet was a vision, wasn't it? Thought impossible. How could it be that there could be this type of communication, yet here you are. And for most would think, those who had fears about it, how silly. Yes? The greater fear is not having choice, isn't it? Having your own personal power taken away. So when beings become fearful of robotics, they're already being used. They're being used in medicine, in surgery. They're being used to make things, yes? So it's already happening. It's not, is it going to? It already is. Just as the home computer was a smaller one of the larger ones that came first. So there's always the evolution of whatever comes to serve better. You may ask,
You brought up our choice that we have. I believe there will come a time when, and we're already seeing it, where a lot of people will be confronted with choices around going deeper into this process of technological merging. And people have talked of things like chips in our bodies and merging with this technology. And then there are other people that will choose not to go down that pathway because of this freedom of choice. Do you see a split playing out between our own species based on these bigger choices that we'll be confronted with in the next few years?
There's already a division between you that has been fostered by fear. What releases fear is education, knowledge. Yes? Mm. So if you hold fears, educate yourself about it. Not stay in the myopic, fear-based thinking. There will be no expansion for you. So the key word here is curiosity. Remember, curiosity brings knowledge.
Theo, is there anything I haven't asked you today that you would like to address for the current state of the world and for humanity?
We would say keep faith to the forefront. There is order, a new order of things, but in the goodness for all the species on your planet, human and others. And it is by the people saying yes to the progress, saying yes to more knowing of self and then others. So it is that curiosity we just spoke of that leads you forward in this expanded consciousness of which we speak, based in love.
From this place of curiosity, what is the most important question we could be asking ourselves right now?
We would say, who am I? But you're discovering that anyway, yes? But mostly, what do I want? Who do I want to become? What do I want to see in the world? You are the visionaries, the creators. And you have a voice and the mind and the visioning to do so. Remember, you're worthy of that expansion.
Thank you so much, Theo, for giving us your presence and your messages today. Truly appreciated from our heart. And I know that this will help many, many people. Thank you.
We are appreciative of the opportunity to serve. God's love unto you. Good day.
Good day. Welcome back.
Hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. We went very, very deep with Theo today, as always.
Oh, good.
Is there anything that you recall from our conversation?
I know it's happening. I bits and pieces, but I don't recall everything right away. If I listen to the broadcast, I will go, oh, I know that. But it's not a total conscious recall of everything.
Yeah, I will definitely be going back into it many, many times as well, because there was a lot of information, especially at the end, where the message was really about love and curiosity and being open and saying yes to this expansion, which we know truth by how simple and universal the message can be. And so sometimes my mind goes on these, I want it more complex or more advanced. And then
Yeah.
when it goes to the heart, it's just like, hey, just love yourself, man. Like that's all it is.
But we all find that hard to do,
Yeah.
and that's why Theo brought through the tools of the soul integration process to teach us, to give us the tools to, when we get back in that negative thinking place of not being enough or not being worthy, well, we know how. They gave us the how to change that.
Yeah.
So it's and I'm witnessing it with our clients, with the work that we do, the changes in people and in ourselves as well.
Hmm. I mean, you've had thousands of conversations with Theo, and I know your husband, Marcus. You've always said he never runs out of questions.
Oh,
So
yes.
perfect partner to be with, a
Yeah.
curious man. But has there ever been a conversation or a topic that Theo has brought forth that has been challenging for you to digest or understand on a deeper level?
No. And I'll tell you why, because I've had so many interesting experiences and confirmations and affirmations in my life of what they've told me would be coming, that I have total trust. So if they tell us something about something that's going to happen, I trust it because, I mean, here we are. You and I speaking as we're speaking is a confirmation of what they told me right in the beginning, that we would be able to do this. They didn't tell me exactly the form or how. It evolved into the ability of this global connection, but they said there would be it. And they said it would begin. Interestingly enough, in my first book, The Fifth Dimension, they talked about this, and the final chapter was called
It was a prophecy.
Premonition, Prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they talk about this time then. And that was, oh gosh, it was published December of 1988, but it was being written for about 10 years. That information was coming through. So, it's been a constant of knowing and it just evolving into it. But they said that a lot of the changes that I would be seeing would begin in the Baltic states. In 1989, the Berlin Wall came down. They had predicted that there would be that change by the people demands. And, I taught in Germany with some friends, other metaphysical friends, in 2001, and we stood in the Baltic Sea. We were right in Eastern Germany, which was another experience. The wall came down, but I just had goosebumps or God bumps, as we speak of them, standing there in the Baltic Sea and knowing this is what they were talking about. The coming together of East and West Germany again. And that was all demanded by the people, that happened. But there was, and we're seeing it throughout the world now. Dictators being overthrown and the people standing up, even at their own peril, to let the world know change is coming, change needs to happen. Here in the United States as well. I mean, I'm heartened by seeing the numbers of people saying, no, we're going to have a better world. And so these confirmations that keep coming, for me, just gives me more trust in what they tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very optimistic about us humans. I think we're going to do great.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
It's my Sag rising. Just can't keep it from seeing the good in the glass half full always.
Yeah. Well, you're a part of that change. You're bringing information out to people who need the information that can internalize and utilize it to make their lives better and more expansive. So you're part of that change agent.
Thank you, Sheila, for seeing
You're
that.
welcome.
And you also, legendary work that you're bringing through. And I know that this information and the body of work that you've produced over decades will go down in many people's lives in time capsules. I view every conversation we have on this podcast is a time capsule for the future generations. And I know that thousands of people have come to you, to THEO, for guidance. But I'm really curious, what is a question of guidance that your soul has still been asking for yourself instead of solving the guidance for others?
Oh gosh. I have very little questions anymore. I used to have a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But the trust that I have and the knowing that I have that everything comes to me. I'm a really good manifester. So I guess the biggest thing is, what do I want? Having the clarity of what I want my life to look like, and what's the next thing I want to bring into my life, is realizing I have the power to do that. And so actually it makes life more fun. It's magical. I get up in the morning and I think, what's going to happen today? And it's, who am I going to meet, who I'm going to interact with? It's all about the people and the conversations that we have, the expansiveness that's happening between us now. I think people are really hungry for it. And that's why I say you're a change agent, because people are hungry for information that empowers them. We've had too much disempowerment, inspiration. People need inspiration. And so the more we can learn, the more expanded we become.
Yeah. What's interesting is that was the same question that THEO left us with, of what do I want? And that was what they said was the most important question we could be asking ourselves, is what do I want? So I love to see the connection and the parallels there.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful question. And how often do we truly get to answer it honestly within ourselves? Because we can say, what do I want? But immediately we get our dad, our friends, our partner kind of melding in with their points of view and opinions of what they want for us.
Yeah. And the thing is it's not theirs, but everybody, opinions are like noses. Everybody has one, but it's just a projection of how we view ourselves. We project what we believe we can do or not do onto others. So that's why, you have to be judicious where you share your dreams, because you're going to get opinions. And
a lot of them.
Either you'll accept them or just know that that's someone else's view, and through the lens that they see themselves. So if someone can't see themselves doing what you want to do, how could you? It makes sense. The more we trust ourselves and our abilities, then we have more confidence to know that it's the mind that thought the thought. It's the same mind that can do it. You wouldn't be given a thought if it weren't possible. My husband and I just watched the Michael Jackson movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
And at one point in the movie, his music producers because he struck out on his own, and he wrote amazing amounts of songs that you might even not attribute to him. I mean, just amazing songs. And he was with the producers of his music, and his comment was, if I don't do this, it will be given to Prince. He knew that there was out there, this creativity was out there, and he was just grasping it. But somebody would do it if he didn't. And it's really, really true. I've thought of things. I actually thought of a TV show that would be funny and metaphysical. And there were about 5 of them that came out in a couple of years after that. I think, gosh, I should have grasped that.
All the ideas are in the field, and our minds are receivers that we get to pick up on. But it's just like when certain inventions happen in the world, when you see they start at the same moment an invention is created in America, it was created in Germany, Hungary, other parts of the world simultaneously with no contact.
Well,
like
if you think about our home computers, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were same age. They were having the same, they were in their garages building home computers. So to your point, the information's there. Who's going to grab it?
Yeah. And I believe there's a lot of information about how to solve the problems of our current world, technologies, new systems, new ways of being. And my greatest hope and optimism is that a lot of the visionaries and builders of this Earth 2.0, new Earth that many people are calling, are starting to understand their role and really step into it more fully without any fear and with full faith that that's what they're here to create and leave behind as a legacy for humanity.
Well, I would say there always has been.
Yes.
Those people. And it's more of us that will be that in a collective. And to your point, I know there are. I have no doubt. And just by the people I talk to, the people that come to us in our mentoring programs and stuff, I mean, they're very interesting futurists there in their own right, in their own lives, just as you are and I am, we all are. If we realize we're worthy of that, if we realize that, yes, we are that person that can do that. THEO says it would be a poor world if we only had one book, one song, one painting, one scientific discovery. That if you or someone has this idea and is driven to do it, it's yours to do. There's we're not going to do everything. We can do everything, not everything right now, but we can take those steps forward in the direction of those discoveries and those things we are to do. It's just saying yes. The only thing that blocks it is the resistance in us and our belief that we're not worthy to do it.
Yeah. Sheila, and we've done this before. This isn't our first rodeo. We end every show with a segment called the Final Trio, which are some personalized questions we ask at the end. Before that, I know you have a THEO mentorship experience coming in just a few weeks, a lot of other things happening in your world. Where would you send people to connect further with you and everything that's going on in THEO universe?
Well, to our website, it's asktheo.com. And we do have THEO's, I guess it's our most foundational program. It's a 12-week program starting within a couple of weeks, called Thrive. And it's the soul integrational process. And it's where you learn the tools to do the soul integration that THEO so often speaks about, that really is foundational to the changes in us to grasp and understand how to love ourselves.
I believe that starts on August 18th.
Yes.
Anyways, we will put in all the links in the show notes where people
Great.
can head over and connect with you there. These final trio questions, the first one I had for you is, after all of these years of channeling, learning spiritual laws, mentoring, what still remains a mystery to you?
Oh, gosh, a mystery. Well, every day is a new mystery when I wake up. Like, what's going to happen today? I really look for the miracles and the signs, as some people say. Look for the signs. I'm constantly doing that, of just confirmation or confirmation of what I'm manifesting as well. So I guess the mystery in my days, I am always looking for that. Yeah, that's what I'd say to that.
Beautiful. Is there anything you still feel that you need to accomplish before you can look back and say, I fulfilled that promise that I made to God? We didn't get into it this conversation, but after your near-death experience, you made a promise with God. Give me any job, I will do it. Is there still something that you feel is still left for you to accomplish?
Oh,
here with
I'm
that
sure
job?
there's lots of things because I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And I love what I do, and I love the people I work with. And I love the changes I see in them, and I love the change I see in myself as I continue forward. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And that promise has kept me going. You know, there have been times in my life I've thought, well, I'm going to quit, you know, and I just couldn't because I made that promise. And it's, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that I did, because I can't imagine my life without it, without that direction, without the guidance, without the people in it. I just feel so blessed to be able to have THEO as my guides, but as the guides of many. And, you know, I just can't imagine the next steps without it. I mean, it keeps unfolding and growing, and the information keeps growing. It's not, you know, it's not redundant. It's not repeated. Sometimes it is, but repetition is good. But they're giving us so much more new information, expanded information, that I just keep learning so much more. So that curiosity is alive and well.
Beautiful. And for me, curiosity is our superpower. And I love how much emphasis that you and also THEO and Marcus have put into that quality, that spiritual quality that lives within us. Last question I have for you today. What aspect of people themselves do you wish that they would reclaim through your work for generations to come?
How great and good they are. People, you know, we humans, I mean, how can we keep accepting the bad stuff about us? You know, THEO says, if you could see yourselves as we see you, there'd be no discontent. And, you know, that's what I hope for people, that they can see themselves as the magnificent souls that THEO says we are. I'm trying to see that in myself. I'm seeing it pretty well. And it's not an arrogant or narcissistic kind of self-centered way. It's a place of peace, of being comfortable in my skin. No matter what's happening outside, knowing that I have the ability to meet any challenge that might come.
Mm.
And not feeling victimized by it, of remaining curious of the growth in it. So I think that I want to have everybody have that feeling.
I actually had that moment this morning because, as we were mentioning before, this is our first conversation in 2.5 years. And of course, being the researcher I am, I went back and I listened to the conversations we had 2.5 years ago. And I just had this surge of emotion come up for me watching myself interview you 2.5 years later. And I couldn't help but just look at him and be like, dude, you're doing it. Like, this is your dream. You're making it happen. You don't know, that version of me didn't know all that was going to expand, grow, all the challenges, heartbreaks, betrayal that I've been through in the last 2.5 years. But he was there showing up. And I think that even if we can't look at ourselves in the mirror right now, go and look at a past version of you. And the amount of empathy and compassion that comes to the surface is wild. I experienced it today. So,
Oh, that's
Sheila,
great.
thank you for giving me that experience this morning, because it felt like 2.5 years, but it was 2.5 years, but it felt like, a few weeks that have gone by since we last spoke. That's a real soul connection. And I appreciate you so much. Can't wait to do this again.
I will love that. Thank you for the opportunity. And
of course.
Thanks for sharing that. It makes my heart happy.
Yes. Thank you. Until next time. Much love.
Look forward to it. Bye for now.